Breaking news, everybody. Benjamin Crump just appeared on The Art of Dialogue for an interview. And in this interview, he explains how he feels about the audio and how the sister engineered it whereas though we can hear the background of the audio. Not only that, he speaks about some things that we all had questions about. And like I said before, I believe Ben Crump has a lot of information, but he's just not sharing it now because he does not want to reveal his hands. But in the interview, you can see how he's being careful with his words because we know the other side, they are trying to sue. They are trying to sue any and everybody out there for a defamation of character so they could turn the narrative and then they can play the victim. So I'm going to tell every content creator out there, if you're speaking on this situation, be careful because the other side needs something to stand on because they are looking bad. Before we continue, y'all please make sure y'all hype this video, make sure y'all subscribe and get the likes up. Let's get into it, y'all.
One of the things that has been bewildering is the fact that if he says he's going to stay behind, why doesn't an 18-year-old get their cell phone? If they're not going to go with the boat, why would they leave it with them? His mother, called his phone 3 times, got no answer after they started getting concerned. And it was when they did the Life 360, trying to say, find my phone, is when she found out that the phone were with the friends. And so her friend went to get the phone. And when they got the phone back, they discovered that there were a lot of Snapchat messages that were deleted. They also found that there were some texts deleted. So that was very concerning to them as they're trying to figure out, what happened to my child? Our child is dead and we have no answers. Nobody's telling us anything. And so it became just an incredibly painful ordeal for them trying to find out what happened to Nolan Wells. And then America became engaged in this matter because it wasn't adding up to anybody. He says, I'm gonna stay behind, but he leaves his cell phone. He doesn't have his car keys. Well, if he stand behind and you don't have any of that information, people are saying, did he stay behind? And so that becomes a question. Obviously there's this CETO audio that comes out that people have did forensic audio engineering on it to try to see what was being said on the audio recording of the CETO counter 911 type call. And it's in that call that people say they hear certain things. We have retained audio engineering experts to be able to decipher and to render expert opinions on the validity of the CETO 911 audio that seems to suggest things about the presence of Nolan.
My question to y'all is, do y'all think if it wasn't for the internet, if it wasn't for the people using their voices, screaming and shouting out loud from the rooftop, what happened? Do y'all think we would have got that CETO audio from the dispatch? Do y'all think we would have gotten as far as we have gotten if it wasn't for the people? I think not. That's why it's so important that we continue to speak on this situation. No matter who gets offended, we must continue to speak on this situation, y'all.
And so we are trying not to speculate, we're trying to investigate, but we are asking questions, questions that don't add up to us. And that's what everybody's been doing, because everybody says, how can this 18-year-old college football player who's in tip-top shape just go missing and nobody knows anything? Nobody's seen anything. And the sheriff within, hours after he was discovered, his dead body, they claimed that, that no foul play, accidental drowning is what they suggest. And his family are saying, we can't accept that when you make that conclusion without doing no investigations. And so what they want is a full, impartial, fair investigation into what happened to Nolan Wells. In our community, we see people investigated very zealously. And so we want the same thing for our children. We want them to zealously investigate this matter, just as if they would if the roles were reversed. And that's what I think has people in the minority community saying, hold on, we want to know what's on everybody's phone. We want to know social media, because all of that could become very relevant information as to what happened to Nolan Wells.
Throughout history, they have been so accustomed to getting away with the unaliving of our people and nobody being held accountable for it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the woman that Nolan was hanging out with when he was at the island, Katie, her sister, Gracie, came out and said that Nolan intended to go back to the mainland with his friends, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a conflict in what they're saying. They said he stayed with the young lady. The young lady said, no, he got back on the boat. And so, that seems to be one of the biggest issues that everybody is trying to figure out, as well as the independent autopsy where he had red discoloration at the back of his brain that was found in the second autopsy, and also the fact that the initial state medical examiner kept possession of Nolan Wells' throat, and we don't know why they did that. Our pathologist, Dr. Roger Mitchell, said when he was the chief medical examiner for the city of Washington, D.C., that they normally would do that it wasn't uncommon if they suspected that there might be some fracture or some compressions to the throat.
So that's the circumstances where they would keep the throat and the parts of the neck when they suspect that there will be damage to it. So there's no reason for them to hold the throat back if it wasn't any damage to the neck. And there's red discoloration in the back of the head. That's very, very fishy, along with some other things, y'all.
So after y'all did the autopsy, from what you know, what do you believe that was on the back of his neck?
We can't speculate. We know that we think Dr. Roger Mitchell should have the benefit of looking at all the autopsy notes and observations and photographs from the first autopsy, and then have, the state medical examiner be able to look at all of his notes from the second autopsy and try to work together to figure out what conclusions that they can draw from the autopsies, both of them. And then also waiting for toxicology. That becomes a factor in finding out the manner and cause of death. But Dr. Mitchell said, and this is very, very important, he said, if it's a drowning, then that still doesn't answer the whole question of what happened to Nolan Wells, because he said then there are questions about, was Nolan Wells' condition of his body conscious or unconscious when he went into the water? furthermore, he said, did he go into the water unforced or forced? He said all those things become factors.
Makes a lot of sense. And I know his friend Warren Hudson, he came out with an interview where he made a statement about how Nolan, he was drinking liquor on the boat. You heard about that?
Well, we don't know. We want the toxicology to come. We know when you hear the CETO audio call, it appears that there was some intoxication. But again, toxicology can tell us that. And people's firsthand eyewitness testimony can tell us that. We want answers. You know, as I've said over and over again, I am for truth, no matter who it implicates or who it exonerates. I am for justice, no matter who it convicts or who it acquits. And I am certainly for transparency, so all of us can see and we can have trust in the system that this was a fair, impartial, and complete investigation. That's what everybody would want if this was their child.
And I love how Benjamin Crump doesn't jump to conclusions. He doesn't act off his emotions, and he still implements the other side and let them know we can do this together. We want peace, because he understands if he was to act off emotions or anger or try to blame the people, that would give the people fuel to say, look at how you're acting. Then it's going to allow them to play the victim. But they still been doing that anyway. But I like how Ben Crump and his legal team have been keeping their composure. But that's the end of the video. Shout out to Art of Dialogue. The link will be in the description. We reacted to 5 minutes into the interview. So y'all go ahead and check that full interview out for yourself. That's part 1. I'm sure there's going to be other parts to the interview. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with the Art of Dialogue. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the CETO, about them saying that Nolan was drunk and all of that, and about the medical examiner. I'm telling you, we're going to react to a video that's breaking down the medical examiner and all of that stuff. Y'all stay tuned, stay tapped in. Please make sure y'all hype this video and subscribe. Big Kish signing out. I'm going, y'all.